Being a model seems like a great idea in theory, but the deeper you get into the industry, the more challenging it becomes. It's not easy at all to be a model, especially in South Korea when you take their insane beauty standards into consideration. Let me walk you through very strict rules Korean models have to follow. Extreme dieting. We all know that diets are a part of the modeling job, but sometimes it's taken way too far. South Korea has some messed up standards when it comes to beauty, and weight is just one of them. The standards include being thin and fair-skinned and having big eyes for girls, tall, broad shoulders, clean-cut look for boys. The entertainment industry in general is very cutthroat, so these girls lose weight as a way to stand out. Every public figure, including girl group members, actresses, and models, are expected to be extra thin so as to not be crucified by the public. Model Sora Choi has spoken about her experience with dieting before, and it's as heartbreaking just as it is terrifying. During her appearance on You Quiz on the Block, she revealed that she was canceled from a Louis Vuitton fashion show the day before it was supposed to take place. Although she weighed the same, they told her that she looked bloated. From that day, she was heavily frustrated and thought that she blew away a great opportunity with her own hands. She said, "I whipped myself like crazy. I was about 52 kilograms at the time, but I lost weight down to 45 to 46 kilograms. I only drank water for 5 weeks." She also confessed that she passed out more than 10 times a day and that it took nearly 2 years for her to get back to her normal weight. Right after the interviews, her social media accounts were filled with positive comments offering her support, but unfortunately, the dieting hasn't gotten any better in the modeling industry. Skin tone discrimination. South Korea isn't exactly known for being the most tolerating country to foreigners. Sure, you might have people of other nationalities in the entertainment industry, but netizens aren't easy on them. This especially happens in the modeling industry, where being a foreigner significantly diminishes your chances of even being casted in the first place. Han Hyun-min, for example, has been pretty open about how he's been treated by people in the industry for being half Nigerian. He is South Korea's first black model who got scouted through Instagram, and what's even more unique about him is that he's entirely self-taught and watched YouTube videos to perfect his model walk. But unfortunately, as expected, his road to success wasn't easy. His agent said that recruiting him in the first place was a big gamble and that he was urged to recruit white models instead, as Hyunmin was dismissed by designers and magazine editors who claimed that he was bad luck. His agent said, "Some of them told me, we don't do dark-skinned models," or for us, non-Korean models mean white models with blue eyes and blonde hair. Mind you, Hyunmin is fully Korean and doesn't speak a word of English. Another incident he mentioned was when he was hired for a car commercial but was expected to play a stereotypical role, but he couldn't get it right despite hours of practicing. Because of that, he was fired right away. But he's always hoping that this will change in the future and wants to be a good role model for other biracial models. No plastic surgeries. For a country with such strict beauty standards, it's strange to think that they don't actually want their models to have any plastic surgeries. For other jobs like idols and actresses, plastic surgery isn't as big of a taboo. Well, it's still a taboo to some extent, but it's also expected and sometimes even encouraged by their companies if they don't match the Korean beauty standards. But this doesn't quite apply to modeling. Generally, many models are scouted for the fact that they're already thin and good looking, and agencies aren't going to spend even more money on a model to get plastic surgery. A lot of the time, if models have any physical quote-unquote imperfections, they're scouted just because of them. This imperfection is more of a unique feature that designers like and that can be photographed well in front of a camera, for example, tooth gaps. The models you see on the runway these days are mainly natural. However, if they decide to get surgery, it has to be as natural looking as possible to the point that you can't even tell they had work done. If alterations are absolutely necessary, many models will only do minor ones to their face like Botox, fillers, brow lifts, facelifts, etc. That's why you rarely see any South Korean models with big noticeable body changes. Height requirements. This is also a very surprising one when you consider the fact that they're models. It's widely known that models have to be tall, attractive, and thin, but this also mostly depends on the country. Since the average height for women in Korea is different than it is in the West, being very tall is not a necessary requirement to get casted. One of the good things about model agencies and clients in Korea is that they will work with models who are shorter or smaller than models normally working in the US or in Europe. Rather than concentrating on just the model's height, agencies look at the total qualities the models present, such as clear skin, good hair, and teeth. The height of female models can start at 167 centimeters, and male models can start at 178 centimeters. So yes, it is possible for models to be even shorter and still find work in Korea. If they have the right look and personality to represent the fashion brand, then their height will not stand in the way of becoming a model. Walk it like you talk it. Walking is undoubtedly one of the most important parts of being a runway model, and if you can't walk a certain way, no modeling agency will even look your way. But runway walking is not the same as walking down the street to the grocery store. A distinguished and confident walk is what designers look for, and it is possibly the most important aspect when becoming a runway model. It's not easy to perfect a runway walk, so models are constantly practicing. Designers want to see models exude confidence in their walk, but this must be done without smiling or showing any expression. This is because any expression from the models takes the attention away from the clothes they're supposed to present. According to model Jang Yoon-ju, catwalks have changed over the years and the models must adapt to the changes. For example, in the 80s, the emphasis was mostly on the hips. Then in the 90s, the focus was on the legs and not the hips. But things have changed when the year 2000 rolled in, as runway walks have become more natural and casual. The point is for models to get on track with the trend so they don't fall behind. Have some experience. When it comes to the South Korean modeling industry, it's not necessarily essential that models have previous modeling experience to get a job. However, it's definitely an advantage if they've worked in the industry before. It's recommended that they should have some understanding of how to work on set with photographers and stylists, and do at least 3 to 4 test shoots before attempting to break into the Korean market. It's also a bonus if the models have some basic understanding of posing techniques, how to use different expressions, and how to model various types of fashions and products. It's normal that the top companies who represent models will mostly hire models who they can trust to do things right the first time. Wasting time is a huge cost, considering that if the company takes in a model without experience, some time will be spent teaching them poses and angles. Plus, the first paycheck a model gets automatically goes to paying back these expenses. That is the reason why agents are so picky about the models they choose to represent. They don't want to be left dealing with the debt if the model doesn't turn out to be successful. It's important to remember that everyone needs to start somewhere, but in such a competitive industry, the models need to make sure that they take the necessary steps to give themselves better chances of landing a job. Have thick skin. With a job that is based solely on their looks and working in such a superficial industry, the models need to deal with all kinds of comments that will be thrown their way. Unfortunately, not every comment is going to be about their faces or bodies, as they're victims of discrimination in their workplace. At a time when fashion is still trying to be more diverse and inclusive, the discrimination against Asians still hasn't stopped. On this topic, model Kim Soo-ju said, "The industry, for better or worse, in attempts to be representative, can often oversimplify one's identity into a more easily checked box. Especially since the COVID-19 pandemic began, an anti-Asian sentiment has been on the rise, and that's also found its way into the modeling industry. Asian models are still being overlooked and cast aside by their non-Asian counterparts because the fashion industry is regularly seen casting and booking more Caucasian models than Asian models or models of any other race. Regardless of the intentions of these choices, the facts scream out discrimination. Asian models and other representatives of the fashion industry have spoken about the discrimination they have faced, the disgusting slurs they've been called, and the fact that they're constantly because of the harmful stereotypes." Model Irene Geem said, "I think we can use more Asian representation in the industry and have more Asians in leadership roles in fashion. I feel like it was a trend to have Asians in editorials and campaigns due to market interests, but diversity should be organic, inclusive, and reflective of society. Don't just use us as seasoning." Only recently, the Squid Game actress Jung Ho-yeon, who was also a professional model, made history when she became the first Korean and Southeast Asian woman to be on the cover of American Vogue in the last 130 years. This incredible achievement didn't go unnoticed, as many media outlets reported on it and congratulated her on making history. Hopefully, we can see more representation in the world soon. Let us know what you think about the Korean modeling industry in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!